Hello students, welcome back to our digital classes. This is the second lecture of surface chemistry. As you know, last time I have discussed about the introduction of surface chemistry, in which I told you about the absorption, adsorption, sorption with their application. Okay, so today I am going to explain with you our next concept, that is mechanism of adsorption. Okay, mechanism of adsorption. Mechanism of adsorption. Mechanism of adsorption. Okay, so try to understand what is the meaning of mechanism of adsorption. How the adsorption is happening. Actual adsorption occurs due to the unbalanced force. Due to the unbalanced force over the surface of adsorbent, over the surface of adsorbent, as molecules of adsorbate as molecule of adsorbate accumulate over the surface, there is a strain or tension over the surface. So adsorbate molecule exert inward pressure. Object force. Are you getting or not? Students, when the adsorbate molecules come at the surface of adsorbent, so there is a strain over the surface of adsorbent. So when there is the unbalanced force occur, how is the unbalanced? Because there is no force inside the bulk, but at the surface there is a maintaining of force, there is a occurring of force. So by which they attract to each other. And after the attraction, they attract to each other, and after the attraction, the adsorbate exert the inward force by which it adsorb over the adsorbent. Okay, and adsorption takes place. Adsorption and adsorption takes place. Okay, students. Now, another factor. That is responsible for adsorption is another factor that is responsible for adsorption is surface energy. So what is the surface energy? Try to understand. When adsorbate molecules adsorb over the surface of adsorbent, over the surface of adsorbent, there is decrease in surface energy, will take place. Decrease in entropy will take place. Okay, please take a screenshot. So students, first factor is the unbalanced force, and second factor is the entropy or surface energy. So try to understand. As you know very well, this is the adsorbent. When the adsorbate molecules deposit over here, randomness decreases, as well as change in entropy is also negative. Change in entropy is also negative. So after accumulation, decrease in entropy, as well as release of heat, will take place. Release of heat will take place. So here delta H is equal to negative and delta S is also equal to negative. Both enthalpy as well as entropy is negative. As you know, for the spontaneous process, for the spontaneous process, for the spontaneous process. Delta G is also negative. Delta G, that is change in viscous energy. Change in viscous energy. Change in viscous energy. So adsorption is spontaneous. Adsorption is spontaneous process. Are you getting on? As the adsorbate molecules deposit over the surface of adsorbent, delta has become negative because change in entropy, that is change in randomness, randomness decreases because in atmosphere the molecules are freely move here and there, but at the time deposition their randomness decreases. When the randomness decreases, it means delta S is negative. You know very well, when the accumulation will takes place, the molecules are deposited over at one surface. It means the surface energy decreases, which release as heat. Due to this release of heat, this process is also the exothermic in nature. So here two factors. First one, the delta G is negative and delta S is negative and delta H is also negative. So delta G is also be negative and the adsorption become spontaneous. It means adsorption occurs self when the adsorbate and adsorbent will come contact to each other. Okay, now as we know, delta Z is equal to delta H minus T delta S. Delta H is equal to delta H minus T delta S. Delta G is equal to change in viscous energy. Delta H change in enthalpy. Take temperature. Delta S change in entropy. So for being delta G negative, delta H must be more negative, and T delta S is positive. Are you getting or not? If T delta S is positive and this is negative, both the value, so the value of T delta S is also negative. So both the values negative and delta G is become also negative. So T delta G, T delta S is positive and delta G is negative. And the adsorption is spontaneous in nature. So I think all of you get about the mechanism of adsorption. Try to understand. First is the first factor that define the adsorption, that is the unbalanced force. When the adsorbate come in the contact with adsorbent, there is the tension or strain will occur over the surface of adsorbent, by which the adsorbate exert the inward force. and attract with the adsorbent and adsorption occur. Similarly, second factor is the surface energy. You know very well, when the adsorbate molecules accumulate over the surface of adsorbent, entropy become decreases. It means delta S is negative. If the delta S is negative, it means delta H is also negative, because the surface energy release in the form of what? Surface energy is released in the form of energy, so delta H is also negative. One thing must be remembered. Delta S is negative, delta H is negative, so delta G is also negative. But you have to remember that delta H must be more and more negative and T delta S must be positive. It means temperature should be low. T delta S must be positive. So that's why delta G is negative and the reaction is spontaneous in nature. The process is spontaneous in nature. Okay, students. Now I am going to define the next topic. That is the types of adsorption. Try to understand. Types of adsorption. Types of adsorption. Okay. On the basis of forces between adsorbate and adsorbate. Adsorbate and adsorbate. Adsorption is of two types. First one is a physiorption. And second one is the chemisorption. Second one is the chemisorption. First is the physiorption and second is the chemisorption. Okay. So now, what is the physiorption? Try to understand. Physiorption. The first thing is that it is a physical process. It is a physical process. It is a physical process. Second is that by the name you can say that it is a physical process. Second, in physiorption, adsorbate and adsorbent attract each other by weak van der Waals forces. by weak van der Waals forces. Okay, next. By weak van der Waals forces. Number third. Number third. It is a reversible process. You know, physical process just like the. Have you seen in winter season when you push the air over the mobile screen, it gets covered with the moisture. So it means the attachment of moisture over the screen of mobile is also the adsorption, an example of physiorption. You know, it is a physical process. There is no formation of bonding, no new product is formed, not the permanent. And in physiorption, adsorbate and adsorbate is attached to each other, they are attracted to each other by weak van der Waals forces. There is no bonding is formed between them, no compound is formed between them. It is the irreversible process, you know very well. When you heat it and it become removed, and again it attracted over the when you push the air. Okay, so now the next thing. Oh. Enthalpy of adsorption is very. Enthalpy of adsorption is low. 20 to 40 kilojoule per mole. 20 to 40 kilojoule per mole. Similarly, number 5. No activation energy is required, or activation energy is very little. Activation energy is very little. Activation energy is very little. You know very well, no bond is formed like the chemical bond, so there is no need of activation energy. Okay, next. Number 6. On increasing the temperature, physiorption on increasing the temperature, physiorption, tell me students, physiorption decreases. Physiorption decreases. On increasing the temperature, physiorption decreases. So we can also plot physiorption is decreases. Okay. Here we can write this is the chi upon n, this is the physiorption. So with respect to temperature, it is decreases. So as the physiorption decreases with the temperature. Okay. Next. Easily liquefiable gas gases easily absorb easily adsorb. You know, because that remain in the gaseous form, they cannot be attracted with the adsorbent. For example, NS3 is more really attracted with SO2, CH2, O2, H2, etc. Okay, next. It is non-specific in nature. Non-specific in nature. It is non-specific in nature. Next, 9. On increasing surface area, physiorption increases. On increasing surface area, physiorption increases. Next, in physiorption, only in physiorption multi-layer is formed. Multi-layer is formed over the multi-layer is formed over the adsorbent. Okay, so this is the some points about the physiorption. I think some points can be learned very easily, such like it is a physical process, it is a non-specific process, it is a reversible process, low enthalpy is required, low activation energy is required. Okay, on increased surface area, the physiorption also increases, more liquid gases can easily adsorb over the surface. So these are the simple. Okay, so now we are going to define, I am going to define the next one, that is the chemisorption. Okay, right. Chemisorption. Chemicals. Students, it is a chemical process. It is specific in nature. It is specific in nature. It is non-reversible in nature. Next, non-reversible in nature. Next one is adsorbate and adsorbent bonding to each other, by chemical bond. like covalent bond. In this process, surface compound is formed. In this process, surface compound is formed. On increasing temperature, initially increases, but after some time decreases. Why this happen? Because initially there is a requirement of heat to increase the activation energy, but after that, when the activation energy decreases, you know the process is exothermic, so downfall takes place. So we can also plot the graph for it. If this is the chi upon m P, then this is the maximum at particular temperature, and then initially increases, then decreases. Okay, so this is your about the temperature. Next, on increasing surface area, it is also increases. Next, high heat of adsorption, that is 80 joule to 240 joule. High heat of adsorption. Next, high heat of adsorption. Next, only unilayer is formed over the surface. Only unilayer is formed over the surface. Okay. So next point, last point, there is no relation with liquefaction of gases. Liquefaction of gases. So now I am going to try to compare between the physiorption and adsorption. It is a physical process, physiorption. It is a chemical process. Physical is a reversible process, while chemistry is a non-reversible process. It is non-specific, it is specific. Low enthalpy is required, high enthalpy is required. Low activation energy required, high activation energy is required. Surface area increases, both the increases. On rising the temperature, physiorption decreases. What chemisorption initially increases because the heat is required for increase the activation energy. Then start to decreases. Similarly, it forms the many layers over the surface of adsorbent, while it forms the unilayer. Thank you, student. next lecture I will discuss about the isotherm of the adsorption.